It was needed because in pre-industrial states, standards of living were very low and people were vulnerable to famines and plagues. The current system of production was not very efficient and could not meet the present demands. Hence, the articles were very costly. There were not enough jobs for the rising population and wealth was in hands of only a few people. Every individual would go for farming as an occupation which was not desirable. Many states were not self-sufficient. Also, the rising unemployment was a serious problem. Industrialization could help reduce and eliminate each one of the previously stated problems and could create a better economy.
The Industrial Revolution began in Britain and spread to the rest of the world in 1780, with high growth in use of steam power and iron production. Mechanized textile production spread from England to Europe and the US in the early 19th century. Innovations developed late in the period, such as the increase in adoption of steam engines, steamships, hot blast, iron smelting, and the electrical telegraph, were introduced in the 1840s.
During the 1800s, Russia's economy remained focused on agriculture and natural resources. The country developed trading relations with other European nations, exporting large amounts of grain and timber. Most of the revenue went to the aristocrats and landowners only. Russia did have iron and steel industries, but these were small in comparison to its competitors, France, England, and Germany. Russia's defeat in the Crimean War 1853 to 56 exposed the empire's underdevelopment and urgent need for industrialization. There weren't enough factories to produce items for war, and there were not enough ships to transport soldiers swiftly. After this crushing defeat, a period of reform in the late 1800s, led by the policies of Sergei Witt, produced rapid industrialization across Russia. With this growth and transformation came some noticeable problems.
The various regional economies in Russia were almost independent. They did not import much from any other region. They would act as independent economies. Transportation and communication were very backward and underdeveloped. Links between areas far away were very hard to maintain since traditional methods were used. These would only function for a few months and not in winters. Due to this, the markets would have to be domestic and no nationwide market could occur. Serfdom was followed and Serfdom was followed, which reduced and restricted mobility for all. All units of labor were focused at producing food and crafting various items for the empire rather than working in factories. Industrialization did occur in St. Petersburg and Moscow, but their techniques were majorly ineffective and the only small scale plants flourished. This process was incredibly slow in comparison to other European countries, and only mining and steel manufacturing industries would have the factories of their own.
In the 1860s, many Serbs across Russia were released. These would in return become mobile labor and were held as workers in the factories. Also, the land per farmer will increase and their wealth will thus increase. This will create a richer class of farmers who will generate more revenue and profits. But this could not be done on a large scale and failed to make a considerable contribution to Russia's industrialization.
Sergei Witt played a crucial role in Russia's industrialization. In 1889, Witt was placed in charge of the Russian railway system, where he oversaw the planning and construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway. By 1892, Witt was Minister for Transport, Communication and Finance. He made foreign investment into Russia easier and also fixed the currency to the gold standard, strengthening and stabilizing the national currency and improving foreign exchange. He also borrowed to fund public works and infrastructure programs, including new railways, telegraph lines, and electrical plants.
By the late 1890s, White's reforms had visibly transformed the Russian economy. Large amounts of foreign capital, chiefly from France and Britain, had funded new plants and factories in St. Petersburg, Moscow, and other cities. By 1900, around half of the Russia's heavy industries were foreign owned, but the Russian Empire was the world's fourth largest producer of steel and its second largest source of petroleum. New railways allowed transport into distant parts of empire, facilitating the construction and operation of factories, mines, dams, and other projects. The Trans-Siberian Railway opened up the remote east, allowing investment in projects like the Lena River gold mines. Russia's industrial economy had progressed more in one decade than it had in the previous century. Its development was so rapid that it was later dubbed as the Great Spurt.
Russian industrialization also had unforeseen consequences. Some of these consequences would become problematic for the Tsarist regime. The construction of new factories drew thousands of landless peasants into the cities in search of work. Russia's cities were not equipped for the rapid urban growth brought about by this new industrial boom. This breakneck urbanization created social problems and led to the formation of a potentially revolutionary class, the industrial proletariat. In the early 1800s, only two Russian cities, St. Petersburg and Moscow, contained more than 100,000 residents. By 1910, there were 12 cities of this size. In the decade between 1890 and 1900, St. Petersburg swelled by around 250,000 people.
The living conditions in cities and towns were miserable and characterized by overcrowding, poor sanitation, spread of diseases, and pollution. Workers were paid low wages that barely allowed them to afford the cost of living associated with their rent and food. The homes which were constructed for workers were made with the cheapest materials available and lacked basic features such as windows, ventilation, running water, or drainage. Many people suffered from poor hygiene. The lack of sanitation also led to the spread of diseases. Due to lack of sanitation facilities, people resorted to dumping their filth and waste into the street. This made the streets dirty and did allow diseases to spread easily. However, often much of the filth was emptied into the local rivers, making them horribly polluted. The factories employed children, women, and men to work. There was no job security and they made people work for as much as 16 hours a day for very low wages. The machines were raw and often caused major injuries to people. These factories lacked basic living facilities and proper healthcare. In the industry of the Russian Empire, there was a period of slowdown in comparison with the end of the 19th century. In 1913, Russia's share in the world industry was 5.3%, fifth place in the world. Certain industries of the Russian Empire were characterized by extremely rapid growth. It supplied 50% of the world egg exports. It owned 80% of the world production of flax. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Russian Empire occupied a leading position in world agriculture, still being a majorly agrarian economy. Russia ranked first in the production and export of butter. At the same time, in terms of GDP per capita, the Russian Empire did not belong to the world leaders. Even during World War I, the Russian growth in industries did not stop, although it did slow down. This was miraculous considering the damage that the economy took during the war. After the revolution, the Soviet Union converted the country from a primarily agricultural state to one of the leading heavy industrial countries in the world. For much of the 1800s, Russia was a comparatively backward economy in comparison to Western Europe. It remained dominated by agrarian production. Number 2, Russia's Crimean War defeat created the impetus for reform. They began with the 1861 abolition of serfdom, a move designed to modernize Russia's economy. Number 3, in the late 1800s, the main instigator of economic reform was Sergei Witt, who worked to attract foreign investment in Russian industries. Number 4, Witt's changes triggered a marked growth in industrial production, the movement of workers into the cities, and spending on infrastructure projects. Number 5, in economic terms, the policy reforms were successful and helped Russia belatedly industrialize, but they also created an industrial working class prone to grievances and revolutionary ideas.